So NASCAR is looking to make drastic changes to their schedule, and I want to believe it's for the better. Hey everyone, this is James with I Want to Believe NASCAR, here today to talk to you about possible schedule changes. Not possible, it will happen. Let's break it down. Adam Stern, man, always reporting what we need to hear. So go over to the Sports Business Journal and subscribe so you can pay for this man to get a raise. Wealth of knowledge. So Adam went in depth a little bit, bulleting what we know is going on, what NASCAR is willing to talk about that's going on, and where the process is at the moment. So right now there is a current agreement set in place between NASCAR and the tracks on the NASCAR schedule. The agreement basically states that NASCAR can't make any drastic changes to the schedule. So the agreement between NASCAR and the tracks is set to expire at the end of 2021. By 2020, there will be a brand new NASCAR schedule announced. Brand new. Now, what that schedule will be comprised of, that's kind of where this article really delves into. Now, NASCAR hasn't really gone into exactly what they mean by shortening the schedule. They could mean they want to shorten the Cup schedule. They want to shorten the Truck or Xfinity schedules. They could want to shorten all three schedules together. A big rumor that's kind of gone around is that there is a set number of races that they would like to see, and they would like to see the schedule down to 28 races. What NASCAR President Steve Phelps wants to do is run about the same amount of races, but shortening the lengths. Now this is specifically towards the Cup Series. They are running the longer races. I don't think there really is a problem with the length of the Xfinity or Truck races. I don't think anybody really has an issue with that either. A big thing that NASCAR is looking at addressing with their schedule change is trying not to compete with the NFL. During the fall, the NASCAR viewership takes a huge hit because of the NFL season, and that's understandable. And thinking ahead to see where they can gain more viewership and possibly not have to compete with the NFL would be good for NASCAR. Another thing that was brought up is midweek races. They have kicked around the idea of running midweek races. It hasn't been stated what series they want to run midweek races for, but midweek races are an option at the moment. NASCAR is currently trying to communicate with their stakeholders about exactly what's going on. Now, there are two stakeholders I want to highlight. There is first is the broadcasters. The broadcasters would be Fox and NBC. So the agreement between NASCAR and its broadcasters is currently set to expire at the end of the 2024 season. Fox and NBC both have stepped up their NASCAR content coverage. Yeah, Fox has a little less coverage going on, but they actually have stepped up what kind of content they present with a lot of these docs, like Unrivaled. NBC holding these weekly shows, not only just about NASCAR, but about motorsports, and having open platforms for fans to come and talk. It's like what that guy did. With the schedule change, that obviously is going to throw a loop if they're going to cut races down. Where exactly are they going to cut races down? How will the schedule be split now? Of course, who will get which races? That will be another aspect to be determined at a later date. And by later date, it's probably being talked about right now, and we won't hear about it as far as anyone from the fan side for quite some time. The other stakeholder that is involved are the fans, and specifically the fan council. So the NASCAR Fan Council essentially is comprised of about 12,000 NASCAR fans. The council uses traditional research tools such as surveys to go out there and really analyze and get the fans' perspective and opinion on the sport. And this was really done over the last few years because of, yes, there was steady growth in the sport, but there has been this time where the sport has plateaued and has been on this downturn, and the fans are really the ones that need to be heard. Created by Vision Critical, this marketing firm agency basically helps a lot of brands find ways to really strengthen and improve their company within their core audience base. So listening to the voices within, NASCAR has basically created the fan council for you all to have your voice and your say. Yesterday, NASCAR sent out a survey to those 12,000 council members, basically asking them a rigorous amount of questions about the state of the sport, the state of the schedule, and a lot of other things. Joe Rutt, with 5 zeros in his title, posted about it. If you want to go check out his video, he kind of talks in detail about his experience taking the survey. I cannot be a member of the fan council, as I do work kind of in the marketing and agency side of things, so yeah, I can't be a fan council member, but I'm going to touch on some key little bullets from the survey that really stood out to me. One was same day qualifying. That is something we did see last season, and the year before that is an interesting concept to shorten the schedule, because it would just make the days a little more packed and tight, but then again, you know, the weekends would be shorter because there's less days where you have on-track activity. Start times. What times would fans like the start times to be at? Regular season length of races, and they also wanted to know what the postseason length of races they would like to, fans would like to see. What tracks would fans like to see on the Cup schedule? And what was listed was apparently every track that was currently hosted by the top 3 sanctioning series. So a lot of the cool road courses you see the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series go to, as well as Eldora, were listed on there for fans to kind of like voice their opinion. Not only did they ask about just the specific tracks that were on the schedule, but they actually went in depth to ask if they'd like to see street courses. Would the fans like to see NASCAR run on the streets? And not just any kind of street courses. They listed street courses from a vast array of markets and cities. You know, cities that don't have motorsports races, but you know, are big key demographic cities that could have big buzzworthy events that would host a large number of people and become, you know, something big. Having dual weekends where they had more than just one race, so you had like a double header kind of weekend where you had 2 Cup races, kind of like how you see in IndyCar when they have a Saturday and a Sunday, or they have them on the same day, kind of how you see with Formula E, where they kind of go back and forth between cars, or even in some touring car divisions in Europe where they have multiple races on the race weekend. Again, something different for NASCAR fans to consider. NASCAR also wanted to know a fan's perception of watching the race at the track versus the fan's perception of watching the race at home. Again, trying maybe to enhance the at-track experience or see what the broadcast experience is like for the fan as well. The length of the race. What kind of race length did fans want to see? If there should be a track that rotates around as the championship track, kind of like how they tried to do with the All-Star race that one time, where they moved it from Charlotte to Atlanta, then right back to Charlotte. We'll see. If tracks should be reconfigured. And then finally, this is a great one. What are the major NASCAR races? That's a big one, I think, that a lot of fans are gonna get to really think about and really just think, what race do I really care about? Because there are 36 races in the year. What are the crown jewel races, as we would all call them? And we have all come to know they are the crown jewels of NASCAR. So, with everything kind of out there, how it is at the moment, here's what my perception is and where I stand. Now here's the thing too, I'm not going to go into depth and tell you everything that I think that should be done, because it's really impossible for one person to say that. There is a team of people that are putting these things together. Just think of the team that put that survey together for the fans to go through. It was a very in-depth and lengthy survey, and if you're a fan out there, I highly recommend joining the fan council and trying to get this survey so that you can voice your thoughts towards NASCAR as the collective fan opinion, so that everyone is heard equally. I believe that the schedule being shortened is a good thing. It is all about quality over quantity, in my opinion, and NASCAR has a lot of quality, and they also have a lot of quantity, and the quantity is kind of diluting the quality of what NASCAR has going for it. Wherever they're trying to swing at between 25 to 30 races for a Cup schedule, that seems very reasonable and it seems good. I'm not sure about having midweek races for Cup. The Cup identity needs to be on Sunday. It needs to be the Elite Series, and the Elite Series is on Sunday. Saturday night races too would be good because it's prime time, but the more night races NASCAR runs, more coverage is being taken away from actual local short track races. NASCAR does want to get back to, you know, its grassroots because that's sustainability. It can bring more people that are going to want to go towards the top step of stock car racing. The midweek races should be for the Xfinity race and the truck races. They should be more on a Wednesday or a Thursday night or maybe a Friday night. It's like if there are collegiate series as we call them, or the minor leagues, then yeah, they're on those days. Or they can be on Saturdays too, because you know Saturdays are for the boys and girls of the Triple and Double A series, right? Why not have them there as well? Big thing too about the Xfinity and truck races is these, when they say doubleheader weekends, a truck and an Xfinity race on Saturday, and then a Cup race Sunday. Doubleheader, that way, that's bang for your buck, okay? If you're gonna just lounge around all day, get 2 races in. Not just one long, boring race, 2 good quality races. I'll take that. But you limit those, you know, double and triple header weekends, which would be good, because then you limit these, you know, big action-packed weekends. And when you have them, there's more hype and emphasis around the other races too, and what those races do to the track and how they affect them. And on standalone weekends, let them have their showcase too on Sundays. That would be good too. And that's another thing too with the schedule. If you shorten it down, you can have this opening for more off weekends, therefore more breaks. This is a constant grind. The race lengths too, that's a good thing that to talk about, because going back to making the identity of the Cup Series the Premier Series, 500-mile races should be the premier races. They don't need to all be 500 miles. Cut a lot of the Cup races down to 400 Ks or just 400 miles, 350K. That would be fine, you know? Have more of these shorter races at other tracks, but then have those highlighted 500 miles or 500 lap races that are showcasing the crown jewels of the sport and the true gritty races that take a lot to win. You know, have a Noble 5 again, or a Crown Jewel series, kind of like NASCAR has arced back to in the past. It'd be nice to see NASCAR or its stakeholders who have that kind of ability to sponsor something like that. A lot of new things, like the street courses. Yeah, I think that's interesting, because if you look at the Pinty series in Canada, they actually do run some street courses there. So you can't just bash that idea and say, no, it's not feasible, because the Pinty series does do it. But then again, the number of cars in the Pinty series, it's less. The field is smaller. In GT and touring racing, you don't really see these 40-car fields like this. You know, you see 20, 30 cars. NASCAR needs to evolve and think about the future. The future of NASCAR might not always be on oval tracks. You know, there might have to be more road course races. And Steve Phelps understands this. I'm not opposed to road course races. I feel like they're really good. They showcase the real skill set of the driver. I'm not saying that ovals don't. You'll have more drivers wanting to take part in a NASCAR road course race and then be excited to do an oval race. So you'll have more participation. The track reconfiguration to me sounds a lot like more Rovals. And more Rovals are going to be either hit or miss. The Roval direction isn't bad because there are a lot of tracks you can repurpose to be a Roval. You can repurpose Kansas, Iowa, Phoenix can be repurposed, Talladega, Alabama can be a Roval, Pocono can be a Roval, and that would be a great Roval to see. Auto Club can be a Roval, Las Vegas can be a Roval, Atlanta can be a Roval, Texas can be a Roval. There are so many tracks that can have that dual purpose. So overall, looking back at the schedule and taking history into equation, my history of the sport, we've always kind of seen a 36 race schedule. And it would be nice to see that kind of back down a little bit. A new schedule will help give everything more relevance, more importance, and identity. And that's the big thing, you know, like moving the Daytona 500, that is not a necessary thing for the schedule. That will just hurt not only the schedule, but the identity of the sport and the biggest race of the sport. You have to think about it. People know the Daytona 500 more than they know NASCAR, okay? NASCAR has some pretty smart people on board with this, and I'm very sure they're gonna make the right decisions, and it doesn't seem like they're the only ones involved in this decision. The schedule has needed to change for quite some time, and now is definitely the time to do it. It'll showcase the new quality of the sport and help give it the right identity it deserves. This was I Want to Believe Wednesday. This is going to be a Wednesday thing. Yay, Wednesdays! We're going to tell you what you want to believe in. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it and have a great rest of your week.